Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to James's Snooker Nation, the home of snooker. And in today's video, we're going to be previewing the World Open. Yes, the World Open is the second to last ranking event on the tour before the big one, the World Championships. I can't wait. It's a very exciting time of year now. And this is going to be an interesting tournament for sure. 64 players battle it out in Yushan, China, between the 18th and 24th of March for the World Open title. We're going to jump straight into it. But before we take a look at the draw, all that good stuff, let's just nail down the facts. So this tournament actually hasn't been hosted for 5 years, since 2019, because of COVID, stuff like that. And last time out, we saw Judd Trump beating Thepchaiya Un-Nooh 10-5 in the final to become the World Open 2019 champion. The qualifying for this current event, the 2024 edition of the World Open, took place between the 22nd and the 24th of January this year in Barnsley. So we do have some more qualifiers that have been held over to the event. Judd Trump, the reigning champion, of course, of the event. Luca, Brecel, the world champion. The two highest ranked Chinese players, which will be Junhui and Zhang Anda. And 4 Chinese wildcards will all have their qualifiers held over to the event in Yushan next week. So let's get straight into the draw. Why not? Here we go. Let's take a look at the draw. And there's some really interesting games I've kind of tried to point out for you guys here as we jump over to this screen. And initially, as I mentioned a minute ago, Judd Trump, who is seeded as #1 in this tournament, as you usually are as a reigning champion, will need to beat Malaysia's Rory Thor in qualifier. They've never played each other. Yeah, it'd be an interesting one to see. I think Judd's more than capable of winning those kind of clashes. And the winner of that will play the winner of Sanderson Lam versus the 3rd Chinese wildcard. Something that I also picked out from the top half of the draw, Lucas Kleckers versus Dominic Dale, I think will be quite a good matchup. We saw Dominic Dale get to the quarterfinals of the Welsh Open recently, obviously losing to Elliot Slessor in that game. But yeah, he's been playing pretty well, actually, old Dale. And I think that'll be quite an interesting matchup because Kleckers is looking for some results under his belt. He was very disappointing in the German Masters going out in round 1. But yeah, I think it's just going to be an interesting matchup. These two guys are looking for a little bit of form, a little bit of a glory. So definitely one to watch out for. I'll definitely try and tune into that one if you guys are able to. And another kind of standout match is a Chinese clash here. Si Jiahui versus Long Zhuhang. And Long is actually a tour debutant. This is his first time on the tour this season. So, yeah, be an interesting one to see how that plays out. It's always interesting when you kind of get 2 players from a home country battling it out like that. And we got an all Welsh clash as well down here in the bottom part of the top part of the draw, if you like. Matthew Stevens versus seed 19 Ryan Day. And it's pretty close head-to-head wise. It's 8-7 to Day at the moment. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one to call that. And the winner of that will play the winner of quite an interesting match. We've got Elliot Slessor, previously mentioned, versus the winner of Zhang Anda versus Alan Taylor. Now, I would expect Zhang Anda to win that match and play Elliot Slessor. That's a great match in itself, to be fair. So yeah, kind of an interesting area of the draw down here, the bottom half of the top half of the draw, if you like. But yeah, just keep an eye out for that kind of area. And we move down to the bottom half of the draw here, and straight away we can see Ronnie O'Sullivan is in against Michael White. The head-to-head on their matches, by the way, 6-0 to Ronnie. So I can't really see any other result. But I was talking to a few guys on Twitter. And obviously we've seen Ronnie win the Saudi Arabian Invitational a couple of weeks ago, and it's just really hard to gauge where he's at the moment with going into the Worlds. And I don't want to make this video all about Ronnie O'Sullivan again, but this tournament is going to give us, if you like, a bit more insight as to whether he is holding up on those sort of slightly longer formatted matches with more frames. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how far Ronnie can go in this tournament. Whether he wants to go far. I mean, he loves the Chinese events, so he's gonna wanna do well and wanna play well. And yeah, so we'll just see how he gets on. I'm sure that that match is already a formality. No disrespect to Michael White, but we know how well Ronnie is playing at the moment. Robert Milkins versus Sam Craigie is also one to watch out for, an all-English clash there. And they've only ever played each other twice, and it's currently 1-1 as it stands. Haven't seen much of Hossein Vafaei recently this season. He's done well in a couple of events, but recently hasn't really performed as we saw him do last year and last season. And he plays Graham Dott, so I'd expect Vafaei to win that match. I mean, Dott has done very well to get to this tournament in the first place. But yeah, I think Vafaei will definitely be wanting to hit the ground running in terms of form leading up to the World Championships now. I believe he has got a top 16 spot at the moment on the 1 year list, so he is qualifying. But whether that can change in this tournament, I bet it can, and I believe it can. So yeah, interesting to see if Vafaei kind of goes for it this tournament and how far he goes there. So Ding Junhui has got to beat Zach Zurity in a pre-qualifying match to play Hong Yu in the last 64. I really fancy Ding for this tournament. We'll go on to predictions in a little minute, but I think that he's going to do well. That's all I'm going to say at the moment. We'll go on to who I think is going to win this tournament outright in just a second, but keep an eye on that match. And you can't miss this one. Zhu Si versus Shaun Murphy. Now, they played recently. They played in the German Masters qualifiers, and Si actually beat Shaun Murphy 5-3 there. So Shaun Murphy's really struggling at the moment, and I want him to do better. I want him to be playing well in these tournaments. He's such a good player to have in form when we're going into the World Championship kind of area of the season. And so I really hope that Shaun can get some results in this tournament. But again, it's all kind of up in the air with his form at the moment. Hasn't really been playing as well as he knows he can. There's a lot of speculation as to whether, the kind of commentary side of things and the punditry side of things is affecting his game. I think that's a load of rubbish. Players have been doing that all their careers for many, many years, not just Shaun Murphy. So I think that is absolute nonsense, but I hope Shaun Murphy can get a result in this competition. And the final match I want to pick out from the draw is Neil Robertson versus Tian Pengfei. Neil Robertson really needs to win the World Open, ideally, to qualify as a top 16 seed for the World Championships. Now, if you have or haven't seen it, Stephen Henry's Q-Tips, Neil Robertson was a recent guest, and he sort of almost hinted at the fact that he wouldn't mind, or he'd even prefer to be a qualifier going into to Crucible. So I don't know if he's got a huge incentive to go far in this tournament. Now, obviously, he's not going to play to lose, but I just don't think he really cares about winning this kind of tournament as much as he maybe should. I'm sure he's still going to try and win it. I just don't know if Robertson has the kind of motivation at the moment to go far in this kind of tournament. There's loads of other fantastic top 64 matches in this tournament, and with these kind of big, wide open tournaments, you always get these interesting matchups and loads of upsets as well. So I can't wait to see how this one plays out. But let's move on to the predictions for the tournament. Who's going to win it? Who's going to go far? Now, we've got to start with potentially the player of the season, Judd Trump. Could add a 5th title to his season. He's got quite a favourable draw. If we just hop over to the draw here, he's in the top half of the draw, and this kind of area of the draw, really, who we should be meeting is someone like Kyren Wilson here in the quarterfinals. We can see it all kind of links in here. So apart from, Mark Selby's sort of in this bottom area of the draw, so he's not involved in this kind of quarter of the draw, if you like. But yeah, the kind of strongest two players I see in this side are definitely Kyren and Judd. So they could potentially meet in the quarters, and that would be a great matchup. So definitely could see Judd making it quite far in this tournament, and why not? He's in such fantastic form. And talking about sort of sections of the draw, what's the easiest part of the draw, what's the hardest part of the draw? I'd say that this kind of bottom half of the top half of the draw, if you like, is probably the hardest. We've got Mark Selby in there, we've got Xiaowei, we've got John Higgins, even people like Matthew Stevens and Ryan Day can do damage. Zhang Anda, the Chinese player of the season there. We saw Slesser get to the semis of the Welsh. This area here is definitely a section to look out for in the draw. Mark Allen as well, didn't even spot him at the bottom there. So, any of them can go on and win this tournament. So that's a really, really interesting and intriguing area of the draw to look out for. And like I say, any of those guys could go on and win it. Let's talk about the world champion, Luca Brecel. Not had the best season. He is hitting some run of form now. We saw him get to the finals of the Saudi Invitational. the quarterfinals of the Welsh Open recently. He's got a relatively easy route to the quarterfinals as well, who, again, could match up with someone like Neil Robertson or Ali Carter on that kind of other bit of the draw, if you like. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting tournament, and it's hard to pick a winner because there's so many different variants and variables that can happen in these big open tournaments with so many players. But if I had to put my neck on the line, and I've already said this on Twitter, I'm going to say that for me, I'm going to say Ding Junhui is going to win it this time. And I know that might be a little bit of a rogue one because he hasn't had a great season, but it's a home event for him. He's going to be looking to try and chase some form come the World Championships, and I just think, he's won this tournament once before. I think he can do it. I really do. And looking at the draw as well, he's got some relatively straightforward games that you'd hope as a fan, as a Ding Junhui fan, he'd win. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Ding Junhui, but let me know who you think is going to win in the comments section below. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts and feelings towards this tournament. Before we go, I always let you guys know where you can watch this tournament. You can watch it if you're in Europe on Eurosport 1 and Discovery Plus. If you are anywhere else in the world, there is always a link, or at least I try my best to put a link in the description for how to watch this tournament. Make sure you go and follow me, guys, on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. Always keeping up to date with more content on there than you can ever get your hands on. And apart from that, guys, please remember to like the video if you have enjoyed today's video. Leave a comment with your winner. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more snooker content.